Well, welcome back to the Word Expanded the Gospels. We're in the book of Matthew. We just did the parable of the sowers last week in chapter 13. This week we're going to start off in verse 10, right? Then the disciples came and said to him, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" And he answered them, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to the one who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. This is why I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. Indeed, in their case, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, You will indeed hear, but never understand, and you will indeed see, but never perceive. For this people's hearts has grown dull, and with their ears they can barely hear, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say to you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it." This is a hard section, because seemingly there are people who just aren't going to get it, right? And again, while everybody gets a chance to hear the word, right, there are some people who just aren't going to get it. Now, we could get into a whole topic about, predestination, and there are people who are just predetermined from birth, they're going to get it, and other people aren't going to get it, right? But this section is more about this idea that there are people who have just closed their minds. You see, they're so into systemology, they're so into how they do things, that they're just not open to anything new. They're not open to the fact that there could be more, that there could be a different way of doing things, right? And so they're going to see and they're going to hear from Jesus all these things, but their system isn't going to allow them to even, right, to even entertain the thought of it, let alone let it sink in and make a change, right? Their system, the way they do things, is going to make it so that they'll hear, but they're not going to hear. And they'll see, but they're not going to perceive what's really going on. Right? We run into these people frequently. Right? They're the people that go to church, and they frequently will say to you, "Well, it's been this way forever. We've done it this way for this many years." They're the people who make Christmas a nightmare because the church has to look exactly like it did 50 years ago. Because somewhere along the line, 50 years ago, somebody made a comment that said, "Wow, this church is so beautiful, so and everybody, but we got to reenact that." There's not a possibility that the church could look beautiful in different ways. We want that moment. We want every Christmas for people to walk in and go, "Oh, wow, look it." But eventually what happens is, by doing things the same, we're not open to anything new. God promises He's doing a new thing, a new way, constantly challenging us to think differently. But if we get so caught up in the way that we do things, well, we're not going to be able, right, to understand the things of God. The reason that Jesus spoke in parables is because it gets people to think. People don't want to think outside of their box. I think in object lessons, frequently I'm talking about horses and cows and all kinds of things. You instantly see the glaze that comes over people's eyes when you start talking like that. Because either they don't understand or they don't care, but they don't want to understand. Right? They're like, I just don't get it. I don't get what you were saying. Rather than having somebody say something to you in such a way that you dig and you search and you try to figure it out, you just, yep, didn't get that, don't understand that. So there's a lot of things in life that I do not understand, but it causes me to want to dig and to search for what God has. I want to understand. The truth is, there's a whole bunch of people out there, hopefully you're not one of them, who just simply don't want to understand. Right? So read this section again and put yourself in this section. Are you one of those people that is always seeing but never perceiving what is really going on? Do you hear but really not understand what you're hearing? Right? Again, we don't want to turn God into Charlie Brown's teacher, right? Where it's just a wah, and we don't understand what she's saying. We never really get it. So you put yourself in, you tell where there's, maybe this is the time of the year where it's time to just start, hey, I want to be different this year. I want to not only see things, but I want to perceive what's really going on. So you chew on that. We'll see you next time right here on the Word Expanded, the Gospels.